to go now to Dr. Robert Sanders, an associate professor in national security at the University of New Haven, and also John Hart, who is a Republican strategist and co-founder of C3 Solutions. Dr. Sanders, I'll start with you. The indictment alleges that Donald Trump made claims about election fraud that were, quote, false, and the defendant knew that they were false. But Donald Trump still maintains the election was stolen, and in fact, I believe to this day has yet to concede defeat. Can prosecutors prove that Trump knew his claims were false, and can he defend himself without having to take the stand?
I think the prosecutors can prove their points. Can Trump defend himself without taking the stand? That depends if he can bring in people who will contradict the evidence that's going to be presented by the prosecution. A lot of that evidence is going to be Donald Trump's own words, where Donald Trump has said to various people that he knew what was going on and he knew he lost. Look, at the end of the day, where we are at now, we have a prosecution of a former president of the United States for 3 conspiracies. The first, according to what the special prosecutor said, is a charge of a conspiracy against the country that this president was sworn, just like I swore as an active duty naval officer, to serve and protect, and that Constitution. The second conspiracy is his actions to thwart Congress from doing its job through mob violence. And lastly is a attack on the voters themselves by trying to nullify and disenfranchise them. An act that actually is so poetic in this case because the charge is the anti-Ku Klux Klan acts of post-Reconstruction. And we're looking at maybe our third Reconstruction or second Reconstruction, and Donald Trump is leading the way in trying to do the things that the Klan wanted to do to African Americans. Donald Trump just wants to do it to the whole of the United States and our voting population.
John, the former president maintains that he is the victim of a political witch hunt. He says that the entire Justice Department has been weaponized against him. But as you go through all 45 pages of the indictment, the people testifying against him are Republicans. And not only are they Republicans, they are many of those who stayed with him to the very end. Which Republicans do we believe?
Well, I think we believe Republicans like his own attorney general who said this is a legitimate case. And look, I think you have to look at this issue as a letter of the law matter versus a spirit of the law. When you look at the letter of the law, it is very difficult to prove state of mind, to prove beyond doubt that he knew he was lying. I believe he knew he was lying. His attorney general certainly believed that. But when you think about the spirit of the law, what this is really about is Trump isn't just violating the law. He's violating the rule of law itself. He's holding himself above the law, and he's persecuting his own voters. So as a conservative, I believe in limited government, and Trump is acting in an anti-American, anti-conservative, anti-constitutional manner where he's displacing the judgment of we the people. He's telling we the people that they don't have the right to decide who their leaders are. And he's displacing we the people with me the person. That is the opposite of what our country is about. In fact, our founders wrote the Constitution to make sure we would never have a me the person government. So Donald Trump is again, he's not the victim here. His own voters are the victim. The American people are the victim. And Republicans have to decide, even if he's exonerated or held not, found not guilty of these charges, he has without question violated the spirit of the law and the basic principles of conservative governance and the Constitution.
Dr. Sanders, then, if that is the case, who do Republicans choose for their presidential nominee? Because right now, with the exception of Chris Christie and Asa Hutchinson from Arkansas, and now the former vice president who seems to be saying many of the same things, most of the people running for president on the Republican ticket agree with the former president.
And isn't that a shame that people are lining up with a man who fomented an insurrection and is against the rule of law in the United States of America? And if you are a candidate for office on the Republican ticket and you do not repudiate that attitude, that presentation, those actions, then somebody a minute ago, and I think it was Vice President Pence, said that you're not fit to be the president of the United States now or again. So, which one of those people is going to stand up, and how are the Republican members of the party going to stand up behind somebody who says, I believe in country over party, and I want the best for my country? Donald Trump is not it.
John, I see from your bio, I know exactly who you worked for. You're not a stranger to Washington, D.C. Right. The former president, before boarding the plane, saying that he saw the graffiti littered place. He drove down the GW Parkway, crime spree, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that being said, the truth seems to be a hostage in the former president's administration, beginning with the first day, in which he said his crowd sizes were the largest for an inauguration ever. My question to you is very simple. Would you be concerned if not only he becomes the Republican nominee, but also if he is reelected president?
Yeah, I would personally be very concerned. I think Republicans, face a moment of truth. Whenever anyone in a public debate invokes Nazi Germany, they're usually losing. And President Trump compared his case to Nazi Germany. So because he went there, when you really look at how countries lose their way, they lose their way when people in power become accommodationists. They think, well, this person, I don't believe in all the things Donald Trump does. I don't like his tweets. I don't like his behavior. But at the end of the day, when they accommodate him, they are putting the future of the republic at risk. And so I think it's Republicans who are making excuses, defending him, they're not just on the wrong side of conservatism, the Constitution, they're going to be on the wrong side of history. And this is the moment where conservatives have to choose. This is our time for choosing. And there are other Republicans who may run, who may get into this race. Glenn Youngkin, the governor of Virginia, is one who could come in. But we're in a very perilous moment as a party. And what side of history do we want to be on? Do we want to be on the side of truth, or do we want to be on the side of conspiracy theories and lies?
Dr. Sanders, I've only got about 20 seconds left, but do you concur? Would you be concerned if Donald Trump not only seizes the Republican nomination, but then goes on to become president again?
Very much so. Donald Trump would attempt to pardon himself, which would cause a constitutional problem because we haven't been there, and there's a GOP memo that says we can't go there. Second, Donald Trump idolizes people like Putin. Donald Trump is the BFF of the dictator in North Korea, and Donald Trump wants to go to war with Iran to prove a point on how tough he is. I'm very worried about Donald Trump domestically and internationally. Judge Ludick said he was a national security threat. I concur with that.
Dr. Robert Sanders and John Hart, gentlemen, thanks for being with us.